Thank you for teaching the JA Career Success Program. We want to highlight a few ideas that we received from volunteers who taught this program last year regarding interviewing. You will find in session 4 the outline for the interview activity, and you can absolutely use it as outlined in the guidebook. But we got some creative ideas from volunteers who made it a little bit more interactive as a class activity. So you'll notice in the teaching tips we have 3 ideas outlined for you. The first thing I would say before we dive into the 3 ideas is to make sure that you're sharing your personal experiences. Share the do's and don'ts of interviewing, share what you've experienced or what you've heard about interviewing. Ask the students, because a lot of them have some creative stories, whether it's from their personal experience or from a friend that they know that has done interviews. And a lot of times they have some very real life experiences of the do's and don'ts. The other thing I would encourage you to do is to be creative in the interview questions that you use. JA does provide some on the bottom of the bookmark. We have also provided some in the teaching tips, but we would encourage you to either use some of the interview questions that your company would use if that's not confidential information, or to simply search online for the top 50 interview questions and use some of those as well. 3 of the ideas that we have is, one of them would be kind of like a fishbowl. So you would have questions printed out and cut apart on paper, and you can put those into a bowl or a hat that the students can come up and draw one of the questions out. Now, because not everybody has the same comfort level, I would give the students the opportunity to decide if they want to answer the question or if they want to ask the question. So they're going to draw out a question, and if they want to answer it, then you as the volunteer would read and be the interviewer to them. And if they prefer to ask you, then they can be the interviewer and you can be the one answering the questions. This is a very good illustration of the impromptu-ness of interviews and how you never know what question is going to come. And it also allows them the opportunity to practice both what it would be like to be the interviewer and the interviewee. The great thing I like about this model is that it allows you the opportunity to stop in between questions, and you can talk about why you answered the specific way, or you can point out things that they did really well or things that they could have done differently. You can also highlight why an interviewer would be asking that type of question and maybe what they're looking for in the answer. The next idea is mock interviews. And we would encourage you to potentially role play a really great interview and potentially one that's really bad. You can do this by pulling up a student. You could ask the classroom teacher to role play with you. But what we'd encourage you to do is to really focus on those do's and don'ts and to really overemphasize those in both a good and a bad interview. A lot of times what works well with a mock interview is to use the same format in both, but just illustrating how to do it really well and how to do it bad. The last way is to do a rapid fire. So if your personality allows you the comfort level to do this, we had a volunteer who brought in a soft foam or a tennis ball, something that's not going to injure the students. And what he did was he actually tossed the ball out to a student and asked the student to ask him a question. So the students were the interviewer, and they were rapid firing questions at him as the volunteer. So whoever had the soft foam ball was the one who asked the question, and so they would throw him a question, he would answer it, and then the student would get the opportunity to toss the ball to a next student, and then they would get to rapid fire a question at him again. He set the precedence in the beginning of the activity that if they asked an unrealistic question or a silly question, he was going to throw it out. And the other thing this allowed him to do was, again, to be able to pause between the questions and answer why he answered the way he did, or to provide tips as to, again, why the employer would ask that type of question. And if they did stump him, he was able to actually model what to do. So how to pause, ask to rephrase the question, and be able to really model that if you're in an interview and you do get stuck, what are some of those methods that can help you work through that situation? These are 3 ideas to make this activity more interactive. We want you to have fun with this and really challenge the students to think about the importance of interviews, that first impression, and how they can make an impact and a difference when they're in their interview. Have fun with this activity and let us know if you have any other creative ideas on how to make this program more interactive. Thanks so much.